Okay, so I wanted to do just in addition to watching the videos of the actual action, I wanted to do a quick little just kind of overview of this because it's kind of confusing. Okay, so you're going to use the beans from your lab kit. Okay, you should have plenty. Everything else you're providing from home, and do your best. Use what you have. Okay, so any of these kinds of mouth parts would be great. You don't have to use all of them. You could just use one the whole time. That's fine. Use a spoon. I don't know. If you want to invent something else, cool, right? Whatever you want. These are just some kind of jumping off points, especially considering that I'm expecting you guys to have things at home. It's real flexible. And then the small cup, I just use plastic because I don't trust my children to hold glasses, but you can use whatever you want. The beans you have. I know you have because they're in your kits. Okay. And then for the fabric, try to find some. The more interesting the pattern, the better. The more like if there are colors that are similar to some of your beans but not others, that makes it kind of interesting. So the reason that I picked that particular quilt that my aunt made is that it had a lot of black in it, and it also had a lot of green in it, right? So my green lentils and my black beans, might blend in kind of. I'm just saying. Okay. So use whatever you have. If all you have is a plain white towel, use that. I don't know, just whatever you've got. Okay. If you don't have any like big pieces of fabric, even if you have like a button down shirt, like a Hawaiian shirt, and you want to just unbutton it and lay it down, that works. So just try to get a decent sized piece of fabric. And as you noticed in my little video, as bumpy as possible, because that makes it more fun. All right. So, oops, make that go away. Okay. So, right. The idea here is normally I have very sort of specific rules when we do this in class, but since you're doing this at home, do whatever modifications you need to do to stay within the spirit of the thing. So if you want to, enlist some people at home to pray for you, cool. If you're like, no, I don't have people that want to help me with this, and you just want to sit in your room and, do this on your bed by yourself, and, get to be the same predator every time, that's fine, right? Just do whatever you need to do. Okay. And then just try to follow the spirit of the thing. Okay. Make modifications if you need to. So once, right. So a couple things to write down. One is I need you to describe your ecosystem, right? So color, pattern, what does it look like? Okay. Also, before you start, I would like you to make a couple of predictions, right? So, I think that such and such predator will be the most effective predator. I think that, such and such prey will blend in the best. Whatever it is, right? Or, any of those kinds of things. So what do you think is going to happen? Okay. I want you to write that before you do it. Okay. It's best to start with 10 of each kind of bean. Now, I think you guys were given 6 different kinds. So was it 6? I think it might have been 7. Hold on. Wait, what? What do we have? No, it's 6. You got black beans, you got red kidney beans, you got pintos, you got, I don't know what these are. These kind of look like dried soybeans. And then you got yellow and green lentils. I'm assuming you guys have the same different kinds of beans I have. If you don't want to use all 6, you can use 5. But I do recommend that you have some diversity, right? So don't just use one kind of bean because that's lame. Okay. So, use at least 5 different kinds. This talks through the directions. I also, had the fam demonstrate this for you. When I had them do it, I gave them a 30-second timer because, Ellie's 5, and Dakin was using a sticky knife. But for you, especially if you're doing this with other, adults or sub-adults, 15 seconds is good, because if you give yourself too long, you'll completely wipe everything out, and then there will be no survivors to contribute to the next generation. Okay, so don't do that. So 15 seconds is more than enough. Okay. All right. So you're going to start with 10 of each type. All right. we'll come back to this. All right. So what I want you to do, probably before you even start, is to write out the different types of prey that you're using. So for example, and you can type this in if you want to, or you can write it, print it out and write it out. I don't care. Okay. So pinto, little brown beans, red, black, white, green. You're going to fit it in there better. You get the idea. Okay. So write out the ones you use. If you want to add another column to this, you can, but the formatting is going to get weird. So then you'll have to deal with that. So whatever. Okay. But if you want to, you can. What predators did you use? So for us, we did sticky, spoon, and tweezer. Write in whatever you use. If you only use one, that's fine too. Okay. Okay. So the idea is with the table, how to keep track. After you've done hunting, you get your little cup. Okay. If you, like it was told in the directions, started with 10 of each kind, right? What you're going to do is you're going to take the cups of each predator, and you're going to count how many beans they have of each type. So let's say this was the cup from the sticky predator. There's 1, 2, 3 pinto beans. So I write 3. And then there's 2, I'm totally making this up, but you get the idea. Okay. And they didn't get any black, and they only got 1 white, and they didn't get any green. So the total prey that they killed, because remember we're writing in here killed, is 5, 6. Okay. And then now I got the cup from the spoon predator. Spoon predator, let's say the spoon predator got 4 pintos, no red, 1 black, 6 white. Anyway, you get the idea, yeah? 2. So then 4, 10, 13. Look at me adding in my head. Okay, and then 1, 1, because I'm feeling lazy. 1, 1, 1, 5. Okay, so what that means, right, is that the total number of pinto beans that were killed is going to be 7 plus 1, 8. The total number of red beans killed is going to be 3. The total number of black beans killed is going to be 2, 8, 3. Total number of prey total killed is going to be, what is that, 24? Can I math in my head? Okay, cool. Now, how do you figure out the number of survivors? You do not need to collect the ones that are surviving and, count them, because if you started with 10 and you killed 8, you know how many are left there, right? So survivors is going to be initial minus the number that are killed. So 10 minus 3 is 7. 10 minus 2 is 8. 10 minus 8 is 2. 10 minus 3 is 7. Math. And you can do it. 50 minus 24 gets us 26, or you can add across that way. It should be the same number. It is. I must be doing this right. Okay. Now you're looking at this and you're like, how do I calculate number of offspring? Go back to the directions, go back up here and look at this. It says, calculate the number of surviving prey for each type. Okay. Prey's reproductive success is represented by adding 1 offspring for each survivor. So we're going to assume that everybody who survived had 1 baby. So if there were 2 survivors, there's going to be 2 babies. If there were 7 survivors, there's going to be 7 babies. And then the next population is going to be these 2 numbers, that one and that one added together. So 4, 14, 16, 4, 14, 52. And what you need to do is, that the survivors, that the survivors are still on the fabric, right? Because you left them there. So all you need to do is you need to add back for the next round. You need to add back the number of offspring. So there should, in my little made up example, there should be 2 beans still 2 pinto beans still on the fabric. So I'm only going to add the 2 offspring, and that will bring my total up to 4. And then I'm going to take this whole row of numbers and put them here, because in the second round, now I'm not starting with 10. I'm starting with, right? Because this is the next generation. Okay. And I'm going to put in my names again up here. Yeah. And then you're going to do the same thing. Okay. And then it tells you how to calculate a bunch of different things. I think the rest of that is pretty straightforward. If you have questions, let me know. Remember, because I've been in, I've been in a hellish week of workshops this week. So I've been really not the best. I haven't been the best teacher this week. Sorry. I'm going to make this all due on Monday so that you have, the rest of today, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and all day Monday to do it. Okay. So it's not due till Monday night. So you should have plenty of time to get this done. And if you have questions, let me know. Okay. Either in my, Zoom hours on Monday morning, or just, email me or whatever. Okay. I think the rest is pretty straightforward. So you're going to calculate predator efficiency. It gives you a little explanation for how to do that. But if you need help, sorry, there's like bugs attacking me. But if you need help, let me know. Prey survivorship is literally just how many survived. So you're just copy number of survivors. Okay. After each round. And then these are both going to be bar graphs. So in our average prey efficiency, you're going to calculate your average prey efficiency, and you're going to put a scale here, right? And then write the names of your, I don't know what you're using, right? But, oh, look, the pickle is here. Yes, honey. What's going on? Should I wear it in my video?
No.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Oh, that fell off. We'll glue it back on. I'm going to put it on for the rest of my video.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm such a pretty princess. Okay. So, you're going to make a bar, you're going to make a bar graph, and yours is going to be prettier than mine. Okay. Like that for predator efficiency. And then prey survivorship, you're literally just taking the last row. You're taking this, right? And you're putting it here. So you'll write out your 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different kinds of beans, and then, have a scale and answer the questions. Okay. The only other tricky thing is I want you to fill out all of these tables and do those calculations and do all of that for 2 rounds. And so that's the instructions from step 8 through 13. Well, through 14, but whatever. Okay. All right. After those 2 feeding cycles, pick up all the beans, start over. Okay. But I want you to do some sort of modification. And so the examples that I'm giving you are change your fabric. That could be one modification. So go through the motions, do the whole thing again, but with different fabric. Okay. Or maybe you want to keep the same fabric, but maybe you try out a different, type of predation. Okay. Or maybe you have longer hunting times. Instead of 15 seconds, you do 30 seconds. Okay. Or maybe you, can you take me seriously when I'm wearing this? I'm going to leave it on because I'm wacky. Or maybe you decide I'm going to keep everything the same. The only thing I'm going to do different is I'm going to assume that maybe one of the prey type reproduces faster than the other ones. So, the green lentils, instead of having 1 baby in each generation, they have 5. I don't know. Make some sort of modification. Go through the process again. On that second time, though, you don't need to collect all of the detailed data. Just do it. Do the whole thing, right? And then get a feel for how it was different. So you don't need to record every single little thing, but pay enough attention so that then when you get to this, you can tell me what type of modification you did and what was the impact, what was the general outcome. So like I said, you don't need to record every little detail, do the numbers and the tallies and all. Don't do that. Just general oh, in my modification, you know, this was my modification and it turned out different because blah, 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 and blah, 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 blah. Okay. And then you're going to, ooh, this is the best part. So there's other questions, you know, above that. And then question 5, reflect on how all of this relates to the topics of community, ecology, and to natural selection. So this is a great lab because we can use this lab for natural selection. We can also use this lab for community ecology. In some ways, this might remind you of that natural selection simulation that you did. In fact, I hope that it does, because that was kind of a similar type of thing. But this is a little more complex because in addition to just color, we also have the addition of, you know, mountains and valleys. We have the addition of different types of predators. We have, you know, all of these different things that kind of add to that. So what am I looking for as an answer for number 5? I don't know, right? Tell me what you got out of this, right? How does this relate to what you've been learning about community ecology? How does this relate to what you've been learning about natural selection? Okay. I think this is a fun lab. I think you guys are gonna have fun, especially if you have family members that you can, you know, goof around and do this with. Also, totally feel free to, you know, videotape and share if you want. Just, you know, maybe I'll make a discussion board that's not required, it's totally optional, just for you guys to share your hilarity if you so desire. Okay. Anyway, I hope you guys have a good weekend, and I promise I'll be a better teacher next week. Okay. That's all for now.